Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rick Smooth, and this is another episode of Back on the Road. I just want to talk a couple things about in the world of professional wrestling right now. Jim Cornette is on an absolute tear on his internet podcast, and he's destroying, dismantling, and hopefully refiguring what's going to happen in the world of professional wrestling. He has completely taken down Monday Night Raw in a beautiful way, because Monday Night Raw has been a shell of its former self once again. I'll give it to him on the Royal Rumble. It was a good Royal Rumble, but besides that, all the other shows, I'm just not going for it. And Jim Cornette has been putting on a display of his own. If somebody could be the world champion in the world of professional wrestling right now in every league, I would say it's Jim Cornette. But I would put AEW in second right now if I was doing my own rankings. All right, if this was a PWI ranking, we'll call it the PWA ranking. How about that? Jim Cornette is the world champion. He holds every world title in every promotion right now, because he is taking down the world of professional wrestling the way that it needs to be taken down, so that it can start over once again. And that process has already begun in certain regions in this country. And I'm happy to say that in the Philadelphia area, we're doing pretty good with pro wrestling. So there are things that still need to get better and all that stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and tell the promoters what to do, but I would just tell everybody to go listen to Jim Cornette. He's giving away some of the best knowledge, not only in the wrestling business, but to tackle this bullshit era that we've been in the last decade, and now we are in 2020. We can make this decade a lot better. Jim Cornette is a fucking genius, and that's all I have to say about that. With AEW, I want to talk about this because some of the stuff that Cornette's talking about is how AEW has been doing offensive stuff with the unrealistic aspect of pro wrestling. And I would say that, honestly, with AEW, because they have been doing better work than, or how do I say it? I just heard this from Jim on his podcast. A better presentation, a better format. So they've been doing a way better format when it comes to pro wrestling than, let's say, the WWE. WWE has been just really been very uninteresting with everything that they're doing when it comes to promos and all that stuff. It's an embarrassment. It's all those things. It's a damn shame, because I'm a huge Paul Heyman fan, and Paul Heyman, I don't think, should get this bad rap for this, because this is not the work of Paul Heyman. With AEW, on the other hand, I'm excited with the Rhodes lineage, that, and the TNT being back on TV. With the wrestling on TNT on TV. It's been exciting, and I've been getting these really weird visions and this really cool kind of alignment happening when I use my cell phone to watch shoot interviews, and then use the TV to watch DVDs and VHS. And VHS is the shit when you're watching pro wrestling. I mean, that's the new vinyl. Then on top of all that, I've been, messing around with my gal and watching some pro wrestling, and that was a hilarious experience in itself, because we had the Spanish commentating team on down in Peru, and that was something else. But then also, I got to be honest about this, having a Jim Cornette shoot interview on when you're getting dome, and he starts talking about the Rock and Roll Express. It's one of the funniest fucking feelings that you could ever have. Strong, beautiful, hilarious, evil laugh that came to me as I was doing it. So much love, Jim Cornette. We got your back here at the Pro Wrestling Archives. Number 2 on the Pro Wrestling Archives, things of what's going on in pro wrestling, I would give it to AEW. And then a close third would be MLW, because MLW has been putting on some interesting shows. But in the Philly area, ECWA is still standing out to me, and I know that they've been taking a little break, but they booked some really good matches, and I'm a sucker for good booking, and I just want to be clear about what that is.
2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 27 west for I-495 west toward Silver Spring.
Back on the road. So I'm a sucker for good booking, because even with all this change of technology and cell phones and all that shit, you're still able on YouTube to find good obscure matches that when you watch them, it's like, wow, man, like this is a dream match. And that's really what I'm about with the booking. I want to see dream booking going on. Whether it be on Raw, whether it be AEW, whether it be the Indies. There's a lot of good guys around, but you just have to match them and mash them up right. Mash it up, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so with all that being said, there's just so much going on, and it's sometimes, you know, can be a little challenging to call it as you're in the eye of the storm of pro wrestling. It seems to me that whatever it is that's been changed about pro wrestling, Jim Cornette is the general of flipping that back. So I would really like to see that continue to happen, and I'm going to keep pushing that here on this show, Back on the Road, and the Philly Wrestling, the old-fashioned Philly Wrestling podcast. Speaking of...
Mile, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 27 west for I-495 west toward Silver Spring.
So, the last thing I will say about Jim Cornette is that I have an old tape from about 91. It was a Philly wrestling tape, and it was really interesting because...
The right 2 lanes to take exit 27 west.
Because Jim Cornette was a face in it as a manager, and he body slammed another manager. And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen because Cornette...
Continue on I-495 west for a half mile.
The crowd...
In a half mile. Keep right at the fork. Follow signs for I-495 west, Silver Spring.
Fuck you, bitch. Yo, but that Cornette body slammed this other wrestler, and the whole crowd popped in Philly. And Cornette was just, you know, pumping it up as a face. It was the coolest archive. It was the coolest archive that I've seen in some time. And we got that tape right here in the Philly area. There's all kinds of really cool shit. If you just
continue on I-495 west for 18 miles.
If you just don't listen to this bitch, this TPS whore, and you listen to me, Rick Reinhardt, because Rick Reinhardt, aka Rick Smooth, aka Ricky the Dangling Steamboat, has the ear for music and the eye for talent. So let me tell you something, Jim Cornette, you are officially the world champion. I hope that all is well in Camp Cornette. And I'm going to now go down the list to number 4 of the PWA top rankings. All right. Now, with all this going on, I would have to give this one to the Arena. The Arena is back on top. It looks better than ever. There's all kinds of crazy motherfuckers coming through there from Japan and Mexico and all over the fucking place, man. It's been a real treat, man. I'm going to get off that topic because if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the ECW Arena. If you don't know where to find it, then don't worry about it because I'm not going to sit here and give away the best kept secret in the world of professional wrestling. All right, so number 5. This is something that I want to bring back, and I want to actually talk to Jim Cornette on the phone about Memphis wrestling. Jim Cornette, if you're out there, I'd really love to talk to you about this, all right? I saw a shoot interview with Jamie Dundee lately, and he was completely, it was one of the interviews where he was completely on point with a lot of the stuff he was saying. It was not the one where he was all fucked up, and it was not the one where he was talking about God. It was the one where he was talking about all the different things he's done in the wrestling business and how, you know, I'm going to say this without coming at any wrestlers that I've met or anybody I've talked to because I want to be really careful about this, but he was saying that everybody, even in the locker room, when it comes to workers, are marks because, you know, it seems like what's going on now in the world of wrestling is similar to what was going on in the world of music that I saw, which was we're at a stage of it where, you know, everybody that's there, you know, are preserving or supposed to be preserving the art form. And I'd say a lot of people are, and I would say a lot of people are not. And I think that the work shows for itself. You can kind of tell who's who and who's not. So I'm not going to come at anybody, but I'm just saying that I think that there's some legitimacy to that Jamie Dundee comment. So I'm going to put Memphis Philly Wrestling there. Number 6, all right, in the world of pro wrestling today, I'm going to give Paul Heyman, even though he should be way higher up on this list, but he's not being able to do what he wants to do, and that's evident, obvious, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? So, all right, number 7. We're gonna go right down this list. I'm gonna have to give this to strictly because of the fact that I feel like publications are very important with pro wrestling, and I don't want to go against what Cornette's saying here, but Dave Meltzer could be a very important person in all of this. I'm not gonna, diss him for liking AEW, because to be honest with you, at times I like AEW, and then at times I don't like it, and it's hard for me to go out there and tell you exactly what I think it is. But I would just direct you to Jim Cornette's page on that, because I think Jim Cornette's really kicking ass with all that shit. Because he knows the business better than I do. I have to listen to him because knowledge is just pouring out of his mouth. Number 8, we're going to keep going here. I have to do this. It would not be a top 10 list without somebody from this list. I'm going to put the Samoa Dynasty on that in Allentown, PA. If you ever need to get trained, go check them out. Number 9, I'm going to put Fort Noxious, Rob Noxious's crew, CCW. These guys, don't sleep on these guys. Just because I'm putting them on this part of the list, that's only because they're up against people that have serious money. I don't know what these guys have as far as budgets or not. I know that I've done some work there on spec because I've chosen to do work there on spec, and I'm cool with that because those guys helped give us a start with what we were doing. And I have to say this, man, Rob Noxious and them guys, for guys that are doing indie shows, are hanging there with some of the wealthiest professional wrestling federations in the world. All right? Now, next on this list, who's going to get number 10? Am I at number 10? What is 10? I'd like to forget about the 2010s and move into this new decade, so I think that's what we're going to do here. We'll give this one to whoever I think could be the future of professional wrestling. I'm going to give this to none other than the Pro Wrestling Archives Wrestler of the Year, Brian Pillman Jr. And I'm doing this strictly because Brian Pillman Jr., he's got the look, he's got the lineage, he's got the moves, he's got the Canadian vibe, he's got the fucking Cincinnati vibe, all right? Cincinnati is not that far from Tennessee. I want you guys to remember that when you watch him wrestle, all right? I have a feeling about this guy, and I also have a feeling about, that feeling that I saw him pull, about 3 women out of the ECW arena back to the hotel last week or whatever it was when we were chilling with him. So he's tearing it up. He's tearing them up. You know what I'm saying? This is Rick Smooth at the Pro Wrestling Archives for another episode of Back on the Road.